So I'll be going back and forth. I'll gotta get to all of my tidbit information from today. Obviously, today was day 2 of legal tampering in the free agency. Man, some big moves. Obviously, still the Aaron Rodgers, issues are still, where is he gonna go? Is he gonna retire? Is he gonna go to the New York Jets? We'll kind of dig into that just a little bit. From what we've gathered today, from Sports Center. Excuse me, sorry. Jason Kelce, announced that he was coming back, $13 million for 1 year, 11 to 13 or something like that. So they were quick to jump on Jason Kelce. Obviously he's been the only team that he's played for is the Eagles. And hopefully they'll be able to reach there, but we won't have to worry about him leaving unless we trade him. I say we. Yeah, I'm an Eagles fan, so if I ever say we, obviously I'm not associated with the organization. One day, who knows? But as of right now, no, I'm just a, diehard fan for the Philadelphia Eagles. Going over to the Panthers, they signed Andy Dalton on a 2-year, $10 million contract. I feel like this was just kind of like getting a veteran in there. Obviously with, Sam Darnold, he went, I'm drawing a blank on Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold is no longer inside the Panthers organization. I think they do draft a quarterback. Obviously, they do have the number one. They gave away an arm and a leg for that number one spot. But who knows? They might think that, hey, Andy Dalton is going to be our quarterback for the next 2 years, and we're going to trade back inside the draft, and we're going to get some more picks and, maybe try to get another wide receiver one. Obviously, they gave away their wide receiver one, DJ Moore, in the trade for the Chicago Bears. 2, Sam Darnold is going to the 49ers. So that tells you some things about the 49ers as well. Obviously, they're not really too keen or think that Brock Purdy is going to be healthy, maybe. Obviously, Jimmy G left, so now all they have is Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. Obviously, the Seahawks, they signed defense. The Broncos, they signed some beef to their defense. They gave away their 5th round pick to the Colts to get, and then the Colts cut Matt Ryan. Do we see him going somewhere like the XFL, or is he going to get signed on as a 4th quarterback? Obviously we've ran into the situation last year with the 49ers running out of quarterbacks. They literally had no other quarterback to play. They were going to put in Christian McCaffrey to run the Wildcat because all their quarterbacks, hey, that's not what I'm about. I'm just going to go ahead and retire and maybe go into, sports analyst, or, just be done with football altogether. Only time would tell on that one. We also have the New England Patriots re-signed Jabril Peppers to a 2-year deal. That happened not too long ago, actually. Happened just over 2 hours ago. And this just now, the Lions are signing former Bears running back David Montgomery. So the Lions adding to already a deep running back roster. They have, DeAndre Swift. They have Javonte Williams. I think they have the Williams brothers. I think is their relation. I might be signings, getting traded. Signing with this. A second, trying to see what happens. So you can come get a quarterback, but the only issue is, Sorry, my dog was making a noise. The only issue with Aaron Rodgers is, as he did today, the only really big news that we heard about the whole deal was he gave the New York Jets a list of people that he wanted on the team for whenever if and when he does come over to the Jets. It all involved Allen, another wide receiver, too. I'm actually going to take a back seat. I'm going to, retire or just sit out. Who knows? We don't know. Only Aaron Rodgers knows. So to start it off with all the NFL teams, we're going to start with the defensive linemen. Just a few of them. I'm not going to go through the whole entire thing. It is a very lengthy. We got the linebackers, DBs, and the safeties as well to go through. And I'll try to hit, some quick notes on other things. Going to deal, a bunch of deal, we'll go from there. Obviously, these 1 year contracts, they're typically more of the, hey, you're here to fill in a position. If you do good, maybe the Minnesota Vikings, Ross Blacklock. He's one of those 4-year deal contracts, but it was a cheap contract. 4 years, $7.9 million. Another 4-year deal that we had today was the signing of Sharon. And so they, went ahead and given that 4 years. Another 4-year that happened yesterday, that was Deron Payne from the Commanders. He got a 4-year, $90 million contract, put him in the top 4 highest paid defensive linemen in the NFL. Some of the deals that there's still about an hour and a half gap. Oh, excuse me. To where I haven't, been able to update. But we have a bunch of 1 year, 2 years. Really, a lot of them are, just 2-year deals. Going to Detroit, we have Anthony Pittman on a 3-year, $18.75 million contract. Not really too many big names today going off on the linebackers, other than obviously Leighton Vander Esch getting re-signed by Dallas. That was, really important to Dallas and their defense. Leighton's done very well for them. He came in and, really was a good starter from day one. So, as much as I'm not a Dallas fan, I am happy to see that, he did get a contract and he doesn't have to play the game of, running free agents. Absolutely. But at the same time, you kind of get used to where you're at, and, you can't really beat a 2-year, $11 million is what Dallas gave him. So, not bad. That's over, Miami via trade. And then today we had one come up. Some people might not be too happy. Stephon Gilmore, is aging for the cornerback position, but he can still handle his own. But Dallas traded him. They sent the 5th round pick compensation to the Colts for Stephon Gilmore. Dallas contract. Really, for the safeties, not a whole lot sticks out to me. Back to the Phillies, definitely got plenty of years left in the NFL coming from the Bengals, because 49ers are glad to see that, they're going to, attempt to replace Frank Clark. Obviously, Frank Clark is a great, defensive front. And it's hard to replace a good defensive front. You can try, but it's, pretty hard to. So the Bills, they reworked Josh Allen and Von Miller's contracts to create $32 million in cap space. Where are they going to put that $32 million? Obviously there's still a bunch I think that'll fix, the frustrations with Stephon Diggs. I feel like if it's another year where, they make it to the playoffs, but then in the first or maybe second round they get knocked back out, I could see Stephon Diggs asking for a trade from the Bills to go to a different team. Especially, how they can do contracts where it's more, not so much signing bonus, it's more salary after his preseason injury. He balled out. Was a fantastic running back. He became the running back one. So now they get rid of J.D. McKissick, and that was probably to open up cap space to be able to make a move somewhere else. Adam Thielen, with him being in the free agency, obviously, there's a lot of teams that need wide receivers. The Patriots just gave away Jacoby Myers, which he went and signed with the Raiders, if I do recall. McCarthy, all the play calls, because I feel like Mike McCarthy is, kind of saying, hey, if I'm going to lose my job, it's going to be because of me. It's not going to be because of, somebody else or, anything like that. So I'm excited to see what happens with Dallas this year. One of my buddies is a huge Dallas fan, and I told him that I feel like Dallas should have took a book out of the Philadelphia's, master bag, back in 2019 and 2020. They had Jalen to back up to, and Jalen has shined. Since the beginning. Yes, he did have his, ups and downs. Javon Hargrave went to the 49ers, and boy, do the 49ers look so scary. They already had the number one defense in the NFL, and then they go and they add, Javon Hargrave, which was, moves. I could probably sit here and talk for hours about everything that has happened, but I don't want to put anyone to sleep, so I'm trying to keep it nice and sweet today. Maybe tomorrow there might be some exciting news with Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, that's going to be the biggest headline this offseason is going to be Aaron Rodgers. Even though we all see it coming, we all know what to expect. We all know it's either going to be he's going to the Jets or he's going to retire. And I heard on Get Up this morning that, the Jets should have said, hey, I need an answer by Saturday. And if I don't, I'm going to, go shopping somewhere else. Same with the Packers. Do the Packers trust in Jordan Love to, take over? I think they do, and I think they saw this happening whenever they drafted Jordan Love. They knew, within a few years Aaron Rodgers was either going to retire or ask for a trade. It's sad to see some of the, the veterans leave the league, but they're going to be around, whether it be, sports analyst, obviously there's so many jobs for sports analysts, with the XFL, coming back for the third time. So ready to see what happens there. To kind of continue, Orlando Brown, he still hasn't been signed yet, which is crazy. He's the number one offensive lineman on the free agency right now, and we're pretty much through day 2, and Orlando Brown's still on the board. What is there an issue that we don't know about with Orlando Brown is of why he's still on the board, or our team's just saying, hey, we trust our O-line? The board for a few, offensive signings. I know I went through the defense. I hit a few offensive signings, the Andy Dalton to the Panthers. Jameis Winston goes back to the Saints to sit behind Derek Carr. We have Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, and now Rashad Penny. Two, running backs that you can put in and say, hey, your tight ends. Man, I think I'm going to save that one for the end, actually. I feel like that was the biggest trade of day two. Obviously, unless the Aaron Rodgers news breaks while I'm mid-video, which would be absolutely crazy. Hopefully it happens. We'll go, over to offensive line. Obviously, I talked about Jason Kelce getting his 1-year deal with the Eagles. Eager to see what happens with Kyler Murray, because I think he's on his last year of his contract coming up. So could we see Kyler Murray go to another team just because he doesn't, per se trust his front office and is a bunch of defense? I think, a big signing, not like a super massive signing, but it was a good signing for the Chargers, was linebacker Eric Kendricks. Eric's been a consistent linebacker, and I feel like that's, very key on every game, every year, is what makes a good linebacker, especially for IDP fantasy leagues. Outrageous. Obviously, you're going to be like, yes, but then it's not worth it if next week he turns around and, gets 2 tackles and 0 sacks. You don't. The hopes of them being consistent is the reason why you go sign them. And I feel like that's the reason why, just because you don't just say, hey, massive trade that happened during day two. I say it's the highlight of day two so far. Obviously, unless Aaron Rodgers comes out and says, hey, while everyone's getting ready for bed, I'm going to announce my decision. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to happen tomorrow. He does go on a podcast show just so that way you can be there and, kind of expect it to happen. Dang, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yes, something I heard. There wouldn't have been the holding call. Field. But I love it. I love all this. It's fun stress. But I think it being where it could be a win or a loss situation between a punter, just 1 or 2 points because of a punter. I feel like that kind of adds on to the, how important is your fantasy to you. Obviously you can go out, you can try to draft the best, fantasy team you have, but at the end of the day, if you, don't really have like, a stellar lineup, then it is what it is. But I think adding punters would be, a decent idea. So to get to the trade, the Giants, I think he actually tweeted, quote, I think it's, it's sick. Obviously I think he used a cuss word. But, I mean, how crazy that, the New York Giants are getting Darren Waller. He's a good route runner. He can catch the ball. He can, pass protect. He can run protect. He's a good safety valve. He's smart. He's a veteran tight end. Daniel Jones was thrown to a rookie tight end last year. He caught. Daniel Bellinger caught. He had a total of 368. No, that was Darren Waller. I don't know. He only had like 9 or 10 touchdowns. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but whenever you come from a team like the Raiders and you have Josh Jacobs, which is a top 5 running back, I know I might get some, get heckled for that, but I do feel that Josh Jacobs is a top 5 running back, and I think we'll see it whenever he hits free agency. New York Giants. After after he just married a Las Vegas WNBA star. So what's going to happen there now that you have to travel all the way across the United States? And, you know, is she going to seek a trade, you know, to come to Stone? But, you know, does Darren Waller kind of pull that card of, hey, I'm going to go into retirement Rodgers situation, so that way free agency can bust wide open? Some of the key available free agents before I leave: Orlando Secchi, Levante David, Jordan Poyer, Ben Jones, you know, Fletcher Cox. What's Fletcher Cox going to do? Is he going to get re-signed by the Eagles? You know, is Gardner Johnson going to get re-signed by the Eagles? Who knows? I hope so. Marcus Peters, Juju, Leonard Floyd, and Adam Thielen. That's just some of the names on the list. Obviously, appreciate it. Thank you. And that was a recap of day 2 in the free agency. I appreciate it.